Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to meet the 7 newest members of the Georgia Southern Athletics Hall of Fame. First, here's Dr. Harry Carter.
Dr. Harry Carter served as Vice President of Academic Affairs for Georgia Southern University from 1983 to 1997, as well as Provost and Vice President from 1997 to 1998. Dr. Carter twice served as Acting University President and has been a major supporter of athletics throughout his career. He chaired the College Athletics Committee that recommended to President Dale Lick the reestablishment of intercollegiate football in the early 1980s and directed the university's effort to achieve its initial NCAA certification in 1995. Dr. Carter also helped achieve the certification and increased general benefits to the athletics department, including enhancement of athletic opportunities for women student athletes, and had an active role in the support of the student athlete, implementing programs to assist with advising and tutors. He also helped establish and cultivate relationships with major donors to the athletics department. While serving his first term as acting president, the football team won the 1AA National Championship, and the men's basketball team and baseball team advanced to the NCAA postseason. Dr. Carter is currently employed at the Citadel, but is still a major contributor to Georgia Southern. He and his wife Brenda fund the annual Georgia Southern Male and Female Student Athlete of the Year Awards. He was the GSU Department of Mathematics Alumnus of the Year and Georgia Southern Alumni Association Alumnus of the Year. Dr. Carter led it on the varsity tennis team in 1965 and 1966 and graduated from Georgia Southern College in 1966.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Harry Carter.
Well, thanks for that wonderful introduction. My mother would have loved it. I want to first thank God for the wonderful opportunities that He's given me to be associated with Georgia Southern over these many years. As you heard, it started in 1964, transferred from Emory University to Georgia Southern as a junior. Began playing on the tennis team and had the opportunity to play for 2 years in 64, 65, and 65, 66. So it's been 54 years of being a part of the athletic program here and attending athletic events at Georgia Southern. In fact, I have the good fortune of having all 6 of the national championship football rings from 1AA division football. That's a real special thing for me. As I reflect on what I've seen over those 54 years, these athletes that we're going to honor in just a few minutes today, and the many hundreds that have come before them, reflect a very special culture or ethic or standard of behavior, if you will, associated with Georgia Southern. So whether we come from a Judeo-Christian worldview or from another religious worldview, we find in all of those religions the golden rule in some fashion. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I like particularly how it's expressed in the Hindu religion. It goes like this. This is the sum of duty. Do not do to others what would cause pain if done to you. So if your worldview is not based on religion, we still find the same ethic at work. It's called the ethic of reciprocity. Treat me like you'd like to be treated. These great athletes that we're going to honor this morning embody this fundamental but very important way of treating others. First of all, they respect their opponent. How many times have we seen teams or individuals suffer an unexpected defeat because they took their opponent too lightly? A great example is our second national championship football game against Arkansas State, Tacoma, Washington. We were the defending national champions, but we were 9-2. We were not a part of a conference. We were independents, and we weren't getting a lot of respect. We got to Tacoma, and we found that Arkansas State was openly disrespectful of our team in the media. We saw articles, Tracy Who, and we know the rest of the story. The rest of the story is Georgia Southern won that football game 48-21. Is Tracy here? I wish Tracy were here.
I got him working right now.
Okay. Tracy's last play as a football player at Georgia Southern, he threw a little pass over the middle to one of the Harris guys who went for a touchdown. That was Tracy's last play. Before that game, we had to go to Reno to play University of Nevada, Reno in the semis. We played 9 games on the road that year. When we walked in the stadium, Brenda and I, the folks at Reno were selling ticket packages to Tacoma to their fans. We hadn't even kicked off yet, and they were selling airline tickets and tickets to the national championship game. Well, they lost 48-38. So the first part of our ethic is respect. Respect for our opponent. And because we respect our opponent in the game, we play by the rules. This is the second component of our ethic. There's a story of a little-known golfer by the name of J.P. Hayes. Any golfers here may remember this story. He was playing on the tour. He was on a par 3, hole number 12. His caddy threw him a ball to tee up. He teed it up. He didn't hit the green. He had to chip to get on the green, so he was on the green in 2. He marked his ball. He picked it up, and he looked at it, and he discovered that he was playing with a ball that had not been authorized yet by the PGA. So, what does he do? Nobody knows that he's broken the rules. He could mark the ball, putt, put it in his bag, take out another ball, and keep playing. He didn't do that. He called an official over, turned himself in, cost himself his PGA card in 2009. And think about how that impacted his family and his ability to earn in his profession. But that's what our folks do. They play by the rules. Finally, because we respect our opponent, we prepare for the contest. That's fundamental to success in life. So, in closing, my hope is that as we watch these 6 athletes be inducted today and think about the ones that have come before them, that we'll take these qualities as our individual ethic and the ethic of Georgia Southern and Georgia Southern athletics, and that is that we do treat others as we would have them treat us. In conclusion, I want to thank the selection committee, Georgia Southern Athletic Department, for this once-in-a-lifetime honor. I'm truly humbled by this recognition. Have some guests here today that I'd like to quickly recognize. At this table over here on my right, a lot of my family members, my son Bill, daughter Ashley, 2 granddaughters, and my wife Brenda, and the Goodings. Dean Gooding is retired, but he was a dean of the School of Business here. Next table back is Dr. and Mrs. Van Tassel. Dr. Van Tassel was an important member of the administration here. Jimmy Childrey is here. Jimmy was president of the foundation for 2 terms, served on the foundation for 28 years, and his guest is Lisa. And the next guy I hate to introduce to you, but he and I started in kindergarten together, Hoke Brunson, Southwest airline pilot, Navy pilot. And then at the back table are the Rogers, Dr. and Ms. Rogers, and the Wrights, great family friends, Dr. Rogers and Ruth Ann also were both members of the administration here. So thank you all for being here, and thanks very much for this honor.
Next up, Mark Williams.
Mark Williams was a 4-year starter and decorated player at the offensive guard position during his career with the Eagles. A 3-time consensus All-American, Williams finished his career with 13 separate national honors. As the starting right guard, he led Georgia Southern to a 141-13 mark during 4 letter-winning seasons and played an even greater role in Georgia Southern's 37-6 ledger as a sophomore, junior, and senior, which included 3 straight Southern Conference titles, 2 NCAA 1AA national championship game appearances, and a title in 1999. Nicknamed the Bus, he enjoyed his best season in 1999, creating openings on a line that led the nation in total offense, scoring offense, and rushing offense en route to a national championship. Williams was a 2-time Jacobs Blocking Trophy recipient in 1997 and 1998, representing the Southern Conference best offensive lineman, and earned first-team All-America selections by 6 different agencies his senior season. He was a 3-time first-team All-Southern Conference selection by both the media and coaches, and held a streak of 43 consecutive starts to go along with 50 career starts for the Eagles. Williams also served as an assistant coach for the Eagles from 2002 to 2004.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bus, Mark Williams.
I probably don't have a great speech prepared like the previous. I was a little concerned with some of those pictures. They showed us passing the ball a lot, and if you know anything about the years that I played, usually played this high off the ground, so it's a little bit awkward. When I got the phone call, obviously it was a big recognition, a lot of pride, and called up some of my buddies, and they're like, "Man, this is great. You're getting inducted and well deserving," but they said you kind of have a problem, and it was kind of like, well, what's the problem? He's like, well, you're going to get up there and give a speech, right? And it's like, yeah. He said, well, who are you going to thank first? I said, well, I hadn't really thought about that. I said, well, you got a mom, right? I said, yeah. He said, you got a wife? I said, yeah. Which one are you going to thank first? I said, I don't know. So I thought about it long and hard, stayed up late last night trying to get this speech prepared, and just wanted to say, Dad, appreciate everything. Yeah, I can't pick. I'd get in trouble in a lot of different ways. As any good football player or sports person will know, we are all just kind of products of other people around us. We are a product of teammates and coaches, and as an offensive lineman, I am definitely understanding of that. I joke, I coach football. I've been coaching football for a long time. I know, like, Adrian's back there, which is, I love seeing him, and it's awesome. But we joke sometimes with offensive linemen. I said, offensive linemen are those type of people that if you get your ankle in the picture on, like, Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I mean, you celebrate that as Adrian's over there, scoring a touchdown. You're like, that's my fat ankle right there. That's it. You're excited. You're like, you can recognize ankles. That's kind of exciting. So it's a humbling position. You don't really get a lot of recognition. So it's awesome to get the recognition. But I do want to say that we all are products. I'm a product of a lot of different things. I just want to kind of go through this list a little bit of people. But I'm a product of, first and foremost, a God that loves me and loves all of us. I'm also a product of the family that sacrificed a lot. I mean a lot to support me, to help me get here, to help me stay here, and to help me continue becoming the man that I am today. I'm a product of, and this is why I kind of asked this question, I'm a product of high school friends who, riding their bikes in grade school to Audubon, Lowwater, Pheasant, Robin Hood, I would go to these guys' houses who have become my family today. And I'm blessed to have guys that I met when I was in second grade that are here today that are just like family to me. I'm a product of Dorman Hall. Some of y'all might not know. It's no longer here, and I shed a tear. Every time I drive past that place and it's no longer there, I get a little upset. But I am a product of Dorman Hall and the friendships that I made there very quickly. My freshman year, I was done. I quit. I was out. Just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was a rough time. As you know, when you're a freshman, coaches are sometimes rough, not easy. And I hadn't had time to build great relationships, but I had a couple good friends on the second floor, Steve Dill and Raul Dam, and they kind of convinced me to stay. And I'm really blessed that they did. I'm a product of coaches that took a chance on me, a product of coaches that pushed me and challenged me, the trainers and managers, athletic trainers. I've spent a lot of time with athletic trainers helping me stay healthy or somewhat healthy. Never truly stayed healthy. You always are hurting somewhere. And last but not least, but you're a product of the teammates and the people that surround you. I could go on with a list of 1,000 people. And that's kind of what makes this place special. That's what makes Georgia Southern special is that I know Freddie and Mike Anderson and some other guys that I hadn't seen in years that we played together. And as soon as you walk into the door, you're just like, it's like 1999. I mean, it's like 1998. And you're just like, hey, this is the greatest thing ever. Remember this? Remember that? But the greatest thing about those guys is the fact that when you play a sport, when you play at Georgia Southern, when you play here, it is very much a family and a brotherhood to where you just love each other, you care about each other, and to be able to have this honor, there's no way I would have done this by myself. There's no way that if I didn't have guys like Rich McGrath or Steve Dill or Mike Anderson or guys with me, pushing me, helping me get to where I've got to get to, there's no way that I ever find a way to get to this position. Even like the media, for some reason they liked me and they thought I was good and they gave me recognition. But I would never be here without guys who gave me that support. So I do appreciate this. There is an over and under on whether I was going to cry tonight or today. It's sweat. It's a little sweat. You can stay back there, Greg. You don't have to come. So I like to talk from the heart, and that's kind of hopefully what I did tonight or did today. As you get older, you realize I've got 2 sons. I got a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old, and a wife that I probably don't deserve. But you get to realize that there are things called relationships, and you realize that those relationships are actually more important than pretty much any other thing that you could have in your life. And as you get older and you get the phone call, you go back and you remember, I'm not going to cry. But you remember those relationships. And you remember those times, and you remember those hard works, and then those late nights, and you remember all the things that you did to get to where you're going to get to. I met with some of the current offensive linemen last night, and I told them a story about, and I'll end with this, and I'll wrap it up, but I told them a story about in 1996, we didn't have a really good year. It was a transitional year. We had an interim head coach at the time, and so we had a rough year. And then in 1997, Coach Johnson got hired, and we as a group kind of decided. I remember meeting after a summer workout. We met in a parking lot of at an apartment complex. And the group of guys, we all just sat there and said, it's over. We are about to start making this become the Georgia Southern the way it needs to be. We are going to change this. And you start realizing that that's what makes this place special, is that the teams that you play with and the coaches that you have and the bond that you have. The outpouring of support that I had ever since I made it official that I was going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, people calling me and telling me how proud they are. And all I can say is I'm happy, I'm appreciative, but also know that I'm a product of those people. I am nothing more than the love and the care and the support and the endless hours that they have poured into me. I am just a product of what they have done. So I greatly appreciate this honor. Hopefully I've made Georgia Southern proud in my time playing and since then, and I can continue to make you guys proud and continue to be an ambassador for this university. Thank y'all so much.
Next up, Telly Hall.
Telly Hall was a three-time All-Southern Conference selection from 1996 to 1998 for the Georgia Southern women's basketball squad. She was named to the Southern Conference All-Tournament team 3 times and was named the most valuable player in 1998. Hall still ranks 6th all-time scoring with 1,425 points, and her 13.1 career scoring average ranks 7th in school history. She stands 5th among career rebounding leaders with 767 caroms and also ranks 9th in field goals made with 523. 6th in field goal percentage, 4th in free throws made, and 2nd in free throws attempted. Hall was a 3-time SoCon Player of the Week honoree and registered 29 career double-doubles.
Ladies and gentlemen, Telly Hall.
Hello, wow, that's a lot of people. Okay, well, it's gonna be sweat. If you see any, liquids on my face, it's sweat also. This moment is really a dream come true. When I got the call from Mr. TK, I honestly just assumed it was Coach Cram, like, what are you calling me for, Coach? And when Mr. TK let me know that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was just a feeling of happiness and just pure joy. And honestly, it still feels like a dream right now. Each big accomplishment in my life has always been supported by my closest friends and family. Without them, none of these accomplishments could have ever come to pass. I just want to use this moment to thank some of my biggest supporters. This moment is just about thanking those who were not in the light, but made my light possible to shine as bright as it did. First of all, God definitely is the reason for all of my success. I know my mom taught me growing up playing basketball that I have to glorify God in all of my playing. And that's what I set out to do. Most of my toughest moments and my advancements came when I really sat down and said, what is it that I should be doing for God? My mother birthing me and being a great single mother gave me the foundation rooted in faith. And I don't think I ever had anyone scream as loud in any arena as she did. And she was loud, very loud. Kids at school joked and played all the time about how my mother would be the loudest person in the arena. And I know I used to beg her to just stop. But when I got to Georgia Southern, I did realize how important having her there was. Sweat, y'all. So thank you, Mom, for teaching me to use my talent with basketball to glorify God. Okay, y'all know. Long before I even thought about going to play basketball in college, people like my oldest sister, my best friend, Katina, one of my best friends, Katina, they always made sure that I had everything that I needed to be able to play. My sister would use money because we actually just a year apart, and we went through school all grades together. But she took on the role of like a mother figure, and she always made sure that I had the things that I needed, like socks and food after games, etc. She played a vital role, the role of another mother and a provider for me. And she always made sure that somebody would be able to get me to and from school. And for her to just be just a year difference in age with me, I just thought that was something that really propelled me to go as far as I did. Another young lady is Katina Gibson. Katina and I have been friends since 1990. She's been my best friend since 1990. She provided transportation for me to and from practice year after year after year. And I tell her all the time, if it was not for her and the contributions, like I know I never would have did as well as I did or went as far as I did with basketball. She never asked for anything, not one dime. On many occasions, once I did get to Georgia Southern, Katina would leave Alabama, where she was attending school at, come all the way across Georgia to pick me up, and then we go to Albany. And then we make the same trip on the way back. So she would spend hours just making sure that I had a ride home. And for her, I can never thank her enough. She has been a confidant, a supporter, and a real friend for the past 25 years of my life. And I thank you, Tina. Sweat, sweat. Another huge supporter is my other best friend. Sue and I became friends the moment, and I'm sure Ms. Carter can remember this moment, the moment that I had to ride an airplane, and coming from small town, Albany, Georgia, and never having the opportunity to fly, and me being afraid of heights, connecting those two, I just knew that was my last day on earth. So I was very, very, and visibly upset about flying. From that moment, Sue took the role as confidant, supporter, mom, doctor, banker, shot blocker, which I used to fuss at her all the time in practice about blocking my shots. I'm like, you're my friend, why are you blocking my shots in practice? And I just get on, and you didn't block her shot, why are you blocking my shots? But she made me an even better player. She didn't care. She just kept on blocking my shots. And it made a huge difference in my game. And today, she is still all of those people in my life. And of course, it would take me 2 lifetimes to thank her, and I still would not be able to thank her enough. So thank you, Sue, for being my best friend. Another person is Coach Cram. Hey, Coach. I'm just so happy that Coach was able to come here today, and it was meant for him to be here because I just assumed that the coaches would automatically be here. But Coach Days reached out to me, and she asked, did I want him to come? Like, is that a question? Yes. So we worked it out, and she assured me that Coach would be here, and I was definitely super excited about that. It's been so many years since I've seen him. Coach was not, he didn't just play the role of a coach, but also an example of what a father should be. He was also a confidant. Like so much I was able to talk to Coach about it. I don't know, he probably have forgotten some of the things that we talked about, but I don't think it ever left his mouth unless he talked to Mother, Miss Jana, about it. But Coach accepted me for who I was, for who I am still, and I never felt like I had to fake or be somebody else with Coach. And all I ever wanted to give you was a trip to the NCAA tournament, Coach. But we fell short in the championship game, but he did get a Southern Conference regular season championship in 1998. So I hope you're happy with that. That's all I can give. I've given Coach so many kisses, and I know he'd get tired, like his face would be red because I'm always kissing on them, hugging on them. But, growing up without the father figure that, every child needs, and getting that in college was really amazing. Thank you so much, Coach. Just receiving a full scholarship to Georgia Southern really set my life up for success. I was able to earn my bachelor's degree in health and PE, and I made lifelong relationships with many amazing people. I've been able to mentor and coach many young girls, and I know that is my calling. I know that is definitely what I've been put on the earth to do, because it's really just a natural experience for me. And for 21 years now, I've been doing just that. And God bless me with two beautiful daughters who have been the inspiration for every breath that I take. For every moment of adversity, when I look at them, I know I can make it through. And just being an example for them, and they both took after me with basketball, even though their father also played basketball. But when you have daughters who you want to turn out to be the best that they can be, you have to set that example and be that person. And I thank my daughters for everything, good, bad, and ugly. Thank you, because it's because of you that I am who I am today. There are some other people who I'd like to thank for supporting me today, being here, riding hours just to come and see me stand and receive the accolades. My niece, Petronia Howell, she's here. Ramonte Allen, that's Katina's son. He's here today. My other mother, Carolyn Wright, she's here. Carolyn Wright is Kieran and Kayla's biological father's mother, and she is an avid basketball supporter, and she knows this game. And she's also been able to instill some of the same values that I teach my girls. She instills those same things, and she's here today, and I'm not even married to her son, so she's here. So that's great. We've had a great relationship from day one, and I thank you so much, Miss Wright. Miss Carter, I was so happy to see you today. And then I got the information about you being the #1 tennis player in America in your teen age bracket. And it is amazing. It's not surprising, but it's amazing. And everything that you did for me when I was in college, I will never forget it. Every article that may have had a T in it, might have had the word Hall in it, it was put in my landrum box. And after games, there would be 3-4 articles from 3 or 4 different newspapers. But Ms. Carter was just real, and she made my years very easy. And I thank you, Ms. Carter. You're so beautiful. Sequoia Gibson, a niece, and Savannah, they are also here with me today. I also just want to mention my high school coaches, Coach Blackwell, Coach Hopkins, Coach Robinson. They were integral in teaching me basketball, because I started when I was in the 9th grade. Never played before. And they were able to create someone who was able to get a full basketball scholarship to a Division I school. And I could never thank them enough. I thank God for giving me the I don't know, just accepting what it is that my coaches were teaching me. My mother never gave her input, and because she didn't know anything about basketball, but she trusted my coaches to teach me what it is that I needed. And one thing in particular that I'll never forget, Katina and I both, we were gonna quit playing basketball because coach wanted to give us 3 licks for something we had done that we should not have done. And I went home telling my mom, and Mama said, she can't hit you harder than I can. You going to get them licks. And from that moment, I knew I'm not gonna be able to play them against each other, and I gotta do what I gotta do to make sure that this basketball thing really gives me what I need in life. Thank you all for listening and being here, and I do congratulate every other Hall of Famer, and we're in there, y'all. We're here.
Can I have my program? Can I have my program? Next up, Todd Lee.
Todd Lee was a highly decorated Eagle baseball player who was named All-American by Collegiate Baseball 3 times. He also earned Freshman All-America honors by Louisville Slugger in 1995 and was a 2-time member of the Smith Super Team, honoring the nation's best. Lee was named the 1995 Southern Conference Freshman of the Year and was named the 1997 Southern Conference Pitcher of the Year. He was a 2-time All-Region selection by the Baseball Coaches Association and was a 2-time All-Southern Conference selection. He is still Georgia Southern's all-time save leader with 29 and is second all-time in career ERA with a 2.46 mark. Lee shares the program's career record for most appearances with 109 during his 3-year career and had 11 saves in both 1995 and 1996. He posted a 1.18 ERA in 1996, the second lowest mark in a season, and ranks second among the season saves leaders. Lee ranks 10th all-time in career strikeouts with 248 and helped the 1996 Eagles advance to the NCAA Regionals, defeating Old Dominion in the first round 6-0. He was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in the 1997 Major League Baseball Draft.
Todd Lee.
Yeah, this ain't my strong suit. I'm not sure I'll be as good as the rest, but I'm going to give it a shot here. I was really surprised when I got the call from the athletic director, Mr. Kleinlin, and the first thing I wanted to do was call people and let them know what was going on. So I jumped on the phone and called my dad, and he was so excited for me. And then I decided I wanted to call my brother. Of course, he didn't answer. He never does. But then I started thinking about my mom. We lost my mom back in October of last year, and the person that I really wanted to talk to was her. And unfortunately, she wasn't there. We lost her to cancer back in October the 20th, a little less than a year, almost a year now. And, if it wasn't for her, a lot of this wouldn't be possible. She was the one that made sure I made it to all my practices. She was the one that's always encouraged me to stay strong and continue on. I can still remember those days when I would go outside in the backyard and I'd draw me a little strike zone square on the back of the house, and I'd get out there with a baseball or a tennis ball and just sit there and just throw it at the wall all day. And here she was out there yelling, "Todd, quit it. That's enough." And same thing in the house. I'd pick up anything around the house, treat it as a ball, and I'd sit there and just flip it up in the air, and constantly yelling at me all the time. But I know she's staring down at us, and she's proud of me, I'm sure. Next, I would like to thank my coaches. Without them, none of this would be possible. They all believed in me as a young kid, brought me down here to Georgia Southern to play. I was very saddened to hear of the passing of Coach Stallings. He was a great mentor. He helped shape me into the person that I am today. And then there was Coach Baker. He was actually the one that recruited me and signed me to a scholarship here. And then there was Coach Van Tassel. We called him DVT. He was actually my pitching coach, and he was inspirational in not only helping me learn how to play the game, but think about it more from the mental side. I was all about getting out there and throwing the ball as hard as I could, and he was more about teaching me how to pitch, not just get up there and throw. My time here at Georgia Southern didn't really get off to the greatest start when I got here. When we first show up to practice for the first day, we have a conditioning drill that we're supposed to do. And as a walk-on, which I wasn't, I was on scholarship, and as a walk-on, if you don't complete the conditioning drill, they just send you to the house. You're no longer here. Well, unfortunately, as you can tell, I'm not the smallest of people. A little smaller back then, As you can see, it looked a little bit smaller. But, we had this conditioning program that we had to do. Well, I didn't make it, so I was in a lot of trouble. I spent the next week getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going out there, doing my conditioning drill, and then having to do them at practice. And that continued until the process was completed and I could do my drills at practice just like the kids or my teammates. I'd also, like some of the others have mentioned, I know I'm up here being honored for individual accolades, but without my teammates, none of this stuff would be possible. A few of those that I'd like to mention, my catchers, Stevie Wilson, Michael Holder, and Tommy Peterman, which is a Hall of Fame member, and Julio Ayala. And without all of those people, this is a team sport. It's not an individual sport, even though I'm being honored for an individual accolade. But without all those people, none of this stuff would be possible. I guess I'd like to finish, I'd like to talk to my, reflect on my daughter, my oldest daughter, Madeline, and just give her a little bit of advice. Your dreams can come true. She's a softball player. She's in high school now, and she dreams of playing, college softball somewhere. And she works hard, and I just want her to understand that, if you push yourself hard, train hard, believe that you can do anything that you can, anything can be possible. And last of all, without God, none of this could be possible. And I'd like to thank all the people who helped make this day memorable for me. Thank you.
Next up, Freddie Piscata.
Freddie Piscata was a four-time All-American who earned first-team honors in 2000, 2001, and 2002 for the Eagle football program. He earned first-team All-America honors from 4 different publications as a junior and 5 different outlets as a senior. A 4-time All-Southern Conference honoree, he took first-team honors in each of his final 3 seasons. Piscata was named the SoCon Defensive Player of the Year in 2001 after recording 133 stops, including 15.5 for loss and 3 sacks, along with an interception return for a touchdown, 3 forced fumbles, and 7 pass breakups. He had 94 tackles, including 19 for loss, and 7 sacks as a senior, and his 353 career tackles ranked second all-time in program history. A terror coming from the defensive tackle spot, he was a multiple first-time finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award, which signified the best defensive player in the nation. Piscata forced 6 fumbles in his career, tied for the second most in program history, and recorded 51.5 tackles for loss, third most in Georgia Southern history. He also had 2 interceptions from his defensive line position. Piscata had 11 tackles and 3 sacks in the 1999 championship game against Youngstown State and helped lead Southern to 4 consecutive SoCon titles and 2 straight national championships. He met and married his wife, Nikki, who was a captain of the Georgia Southern cheerleading team from 2000 to 2002.
Ladies and gentlemen, Freddie Piscata.
Hello out there, everybody. We have a 6th grader and he has a football game today, and Coach Mike Anderson and I aren't there. So if you see me on my phone today at all, it's because I'm checking the scores with them. So I'm sorry if that was you. Bear with me over there. But I want to tell everybody thank you first. You know, this is an extreme honor to be out here. I'm glad my family got to be here, my parents, my kids and my wife, friends I played with, went up against, you know, and feared in practice when I got here. But I also want to thank God for putting all these blessings in my life and for putting these moments in front of me to either do something with or without. You know, without Him, without God in my life, none of this would be possible. So I want to thank Him first. You know, I've been running around with Coach Mike Anderson, and I'm running our sixth grade team, and it's the most stressful thing I've ever done. You know, it doesn't compare to my full-time job or business or anything. You know, sixth graders out there will drive you crazy. So on the way here yesterday, I thought I was finally able to relax, and then Nikki reminded me I had to write a speech today. And so that started all over again. But so I sat down, I thought about what I could write. And I just started thinking about where it all started. And basically, a long time ago, my senior in high school, a guy I'd never met before or had ever heard of asked if he can come talk to me and my family at home. His name was Gift Smith. And for those of you who know him, he's a talented man. You know, he did a lot of awesome things here, but I had no idea who he was at the time. But he asked me if he can come home and talk to me and my parents, and I said sure. You know, he said he wanted to offer a scholarship, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And then he came over. So when he showed up at my house, he brought another coach that I'd never seen before or met, who had a very angry look on his face. He had an attitude. You know, he was mad about something he looked like. Didn't say much. Come to find out, that was Coach Paul Johnson. And come to find out, that's exactly how he was all the time. He didn't change much. So we sat down and talked to my parents, and then Gift pulled me aside. And he asked me, do I know why I want to go to Georgia Southern? And I said, no. Why do I want to go there? Well, he reached in his briefcase and pulled out 4 little boxes. And he told me to open them one at a time. As I opened one, there was a championship ring after championship ring after championship ring after championship ring. And to me, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. One of them was amazing. 2 of them was awesome, but 4 of them was incredible. And he promised me there in our basement that if I chose Georgia Southern, I would get at least 1 ring. He made a promise to me. And when I graduated, we walked away with 4 of them. 2 national, 4 conference. So it was awesome. So he didn't lie to me. Let's see. Next person up I want to thank is Coach Pate. I know Coach Pate, John Pate, some of y'all know him. He's our guest here, but I know he's coaching high school football in Jacksonville, and he said he may or may not be able to make it because he had to watch film. And as I know now as a coach, film is very important. So I'll see him later tonight, I'm sure, but I wanted to thank him. He was my coach, my position coach my whole life. You know, some guys go through their careers with a couple. I was lucky enough to be blessed with just one. And if anybody knows Coach Pate, he's a man among men. You know, he was our father away from our fathers when we weren't here. Took care of us. Never was there a coach that yelled ever so loudly as Coach Pate. You know, he always had a quip for how we're playing, our playing style, what we look like, what we reminded him of us looking like, you know. He was always there. But the guy was always caring about us. He cared for us from the bottom of his heart. You know, and without him, I don't think I'd be standing up here in front of you today. So I want to thank Coach Pate for that. Next off, I want to thank my wife, Nikki, who actually met in the parking lot of, what's the cafeteria over there? The Landrum parking lot. We were waiting to go in for an athletic conference, and I saw her summer of 2001, and I begged one of the coaches now, Coach T.J. Anderson, to introduce me to her. He had went to school with her, and long story short, I begged him to give me her phone number, and later that summer he gave me her phone number, and here we are today. So 2000 when I first met her, and we're going strong with 2 kids now too. Let's see. Our first date was actually at I convinced her to go out with me, and our first date was at the Subway of all places. across from the football field. So that was our first time together. But there was one time Nikki could care less if I played football or soccer or whatever I did at that time. In 2001, I got one of the interceptions they mentioned, and I scored. I caught an interception, and I scored in a playoff game. And she was actually on the sideline, the same sideline that I scored into, and I pointed in her direction, thought she saw me. After the game, I asked her, I was like, how cool is that? I scored a touchdown. She looked at me and said, you did? She could care less. It wasn't about football or anything I did, with her. She was out there. She's always been amazing like that and still is. I want to thank her for all the support. She's been with me since then, and we have 2 beautiful kids now. My son, Malone, who's 11, wears number 44 now, too. And it's not for anything I make him do. He just does it on his own, which is pretty cool. And then my daughter, Mila, whatever sport she decides to be that day is what she is. She's very athletic. So she reminds me of her mom every single day. I want to thank my sisters, Christine and Priscilla, who's not here. She lives in California now, but my sisters, all my life they were at all my games. They were probably drugged there by my parents, to most of them, but they were there nonetheless. After each game, we would always go out to eat together as a family. My oldest sister went here. My younger sister eventually went here. And on the same day that I got this touchdown, I was excited to go to dinner with them and talk about how great it was that I scored a touchdown and how cool I probably looked and whatever. But the first thing they said when I sat down is, what took you so long to get to the end zone? All I heard was how slow I ran and, how frumpy I looked running down the sideline. But that was them. My whole life they kept me humble, and it didn't matter what I did. They were always going to, be my biggest critic no matter what when I got home. So thank you for them for doing that too. Let's see. And lastly, I want to thank my parents. They're here too, Al and Josie. They're the reason I'm standing here at all. And it's funny when I think back. In high school, I did baseball and I wrestled and I played football. And my junior year when I wrestled, I was 40-1. But my mom would not come watch me wrestle. She wouldn't step into the gym. She was too worried about me getting hurt. And she just wouldn't watch it. She was scared something's going to happen. And then when I think back, in the stands, on all the videos that my dad recorded, there's nobody screaming louder than her on the tape now. So she did a 360 the second I got here to Georgia Southern. She always fed me and all the teammates that I brought home, no matter what time of the night. And it's funny, I think how much she must have spent on food now that I have 2 kids of my own. So thank you for that. My mom didn't care what sport I played or what college I went to. The only thing she cared about was that I graduated and that I called home. And I did both. So that was a blessing for us. She was always there for me. And then I want to thank my dad. My dad is one of the reasons I like sports, period. I can remember begging him to go outside and throw the football with me. When it was 200 degrees in Tucson, Arizona, it felt like. Out in the street when we lived in Tucson, throwing the baseball with me. I was born into an LA Rams jersey because he was born in LA, and then now it's cool again to like LA, so finally. They're finally doing well, so we can wear it again. But my dad was there with me through everything. He sent all my athletic letters to every college I ever had. The reason anybody ever called me. And he was, when I went to Montreal, he took that road trip with me up there. He drove all the way up to Montreal, Alouettes with me, and back. And that was a long, interesting, and fun trip. It was one of the things I remember most throughout my life is that long road trip. But he's always been my biggest supporter, my dad. He's always been the guy that I can celebrate good and bad with. He's the guy I'd hit a home run with in school and get in the car and he would tell me I missed this pitch or something else. He's always there being a critic, but always my biggest supporter. My senior year, I got my last conference ring. And I actually got it sized to fit him because it was just a gift, for a guy who did so much for me. That was the least I could do, so he got my last college championship ring. Other than that, I appreciate everybody coming, and this is an amazing tribute. A lot of great guys I played with, like Mark said earlier. Without the guys on our team, I probably wouldn't be standing here. You know, we have one of the greatest kickers over here in front of us, a lineman, another great lineman back there, a lot of great athletes we played with. Adrian's back there, obviously. He did one or two things, maybe. But it was great. And being at Georgia Southern is like a family. The second I got here, it was welcoming, and Southern's never changed since. You know, just when I got the phone call, I felt like I was back here already again. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you to my family, wife, and my kids. And congratulations to all the other guys and girls.
Next up, Shanita Black.
Shanita Black was a three-time All-Southern Conference selection for the Georgia Southern softball program, earning first-team honors in 2005 and 2006. The Southern Conference Player of the Year in 2006, she was also named the SoCon Tournament Most Outstanding Player that same year, leading the Eagles to a conference crown and the first NCAA berth in school history. Black, who played from 2003 to 2006, broke 12 school records during her career and still holds the SoCon record for most hits in one season, tallying 102 in 2006 and most stolen bases in a single SoCon tournament. A native of Fayetteville, North Carolina, she was named to the SoCon's 25th anniversary softball team in 2008 and had a school record 30-game hitting streak from March 2nd to April 15, 2006. She was named NFCA All-Southeast Region in 2006 and ranked second all-time in program history for career batting average, first in career runs scored, first in career hits, first in career triples, and first in career stolen bases. Additionally, her 249 at-bats in 2006 are tied for 15th in NCAA Division I history in a single season.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shanita Black.
Hello. Joking with my husband, I told him I was going to come up here and speak from the heart, but he knows me too well, so I had to take some notes. So I took his advice. First, I just want to thank the Georgia Southern Staff Committee, everyone involved in the selection process. I am honored. Hard work truly does pay off. My time here at Georgia Southern was one of the highlights of my life. I learned so much on and off the field. The softball field was like my outlet. No matter what was going on in my life, when I stepped on that field, I left it all on the field. My Georgia Southern softball coaches helped pave the way, but I also actually had another main coach. This coach created my hitting technique. This coach traveled here from my hometown of North Carolina to train with me before games, after games, and many off days. I don't recall a game that he missed. This coach is my dad, Tony Black, who is here with me today. Daddy, will you please stand? This is my dad, and he is the reason I am now in the Hall of Fame. Daddy, I don't know that I have officially ever thanked you, so thank you. Thank you for believing in me more than I believed in myself. Looking back at my time here at GSU, I was one of the lucky ones. I met my soulmate and now husband my sophomore year. I also don't remember many games that he missed. Gene, will you please stand? Thank you. Thank you for being my biggest fan, for encouraging me, and for loving me unconditionally. Last but certainly not least, I thank God. Through him, all things are possible. I also have one more person I want to thank, my son Gavin. Gavin, please stand, buddy. Thank you for missing your soccer game to be here with me today, all right? Like Mommy and Daddy always tell you, every time you step on that field, play with purpose, okay? So I'm not a public speaker. I keep it short and sweet. So I'm truly honored. I'm glad to be here. It's like a dream come true. I did not believe it when you called me, but I'm truly honored and humbled. So thank you again, Georgia Southern, for this incredible honor. Again, I am truly humbled. Thank you.
Our final inductee, Jason Foster.
Jason Foster was one of the most dynamic football players ever to suit up for the Eagles. Earned All-America honors at 3 different positions: quarterback, running back, and all-purpose athlete. The 2007 Walter Payton Award winner as the top player in the FCS, he earned first-team All-America honors from 4 different outlets as a senior. Foster was the 2007 Southern Conference Offensive Player of the Year and is still the only Eagle to ever score a touchdown 5 different ways: rushing, passing, receiving, punt return, and kickoff return. He was the 2004 SoCon Freshman of the Year and set a new NCAA all-division record for rushing yards in a season by a quarterback with 1,844 in 2007. Foster switched from quarterback to wide receiver as a junior and was named first-team All-Southern Conference and honorable mention All-American. He moved back to quarterback as a senior and compiled a school record 3,047 yards of total offense, breaking that of College Football Hall of Famer Tracy Ham. He finished his career with 3,835 career rushing yards, which stands 5th all-time at Georgia Southern, passed for 2,099 yards, and had 651 yards receiving. Foster tallied 54 career rushing touchdowns, the 3rd most in program history, 15 passing scores, and 5 receiving touchdowns.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Foster.
I'm not sure how they got me to speak last. I got to ask how that happened. But I will make it short and sweet. Like everybody else said, I think when I got the call, I was kind of shocked that I honestly got that call. I think the first person I called was my wife. I said, I think I got inducted to the Hall of Fame. And so immediately she says, can we call people and tell them? I was like, no, I'm not exactly 100% sure. So it literally took me about a week before I started telling people. I always want to give thanks to God for making this all possible. Without him, obviously, we wouldn't be here. And I want to thank my family, friends, for all making a trip down, and everyone else who came in today. I'm going to start off by thanking my parents first. They set the bar on how we should act as kids, what we needed to do. It's almost like a military-style routine. Dad's military, but it did pay off. I'm going to start with my dad first. He didn't say a whole lot during games, didn't say a whole lot at home, but all he wanted us to do was be prepared. Once we signed up for a sport, we were all in. There was no quitting. I don't know if that's because they paid their money or that was just a policy, but there was truly no quitting. I remember first my sister played softball. She could not catch. Every day we would get out there, she would throw it a softball, we'd miss it. How long can it take you to catch a ball? But every day we went out there till she finally caught the ball, then they moved her to catcher. But I'll take it. Next, my dad, he was simple in his tones. If he ever came with a problem, he would always kind of give you one message. He would always tell you, be smarter than the problem, tougher than the drill. So if you came home and said you didn't understand homework, it's got to be smarter than the problem. Think about it. You tell him you go to practice and you have a drill that was extremely hard, he could tell you how in the Army he ran 5 more miles with a backpack home or something. So that definitely played a role in our life, is to be prepared. And thank you, Daddy. I've never told you that, but I do want to thank you. Next, I want to start with my mama. Another military style, but it did pay off as well. She was really big on being prepared. No excuses, be prepared. And I'm going to tell a quick story of I left my homework one day going to the bus stop. We had a little trail that goes from my house to the bus stop, and I guess I did not close my book bag all the way. So I get to school, I don't have my homework. And at that time, they called your parents before you got home. So I got home, said, did you have your homework? Well, no, I found it in the trail, I dropped it. She took the belt to make me understand that be prepared the night before. So from that day on, I assured myself I'd be prepared, and I carried it into sports and anything I do. So if I'm doing something, I do like to be prepared. And Mama, thank you for that. I'm going to continue on Mama. She made many sacrifices as well. I remember her coming home in her scrubs, taking us to practice. She sit down in the car and reading the book through the whole practice. When my sister practiced, she practiced on the Red Hill. We was always at practice early, even though she couldn't catch. We was there early. We was there late. But she would get off work early. Whatever we needed to do, she made sure we was on time. And again, I just want to thank you again for that. Another thing with my parents, I've never heard them talk bad about a coach. Now, today they're the biggest Monday morning quarterbacks. Now, if Tennessee or someone loses, they're all in what we should have done. But when I played, I can never recall a time I heard them talk bad about a coach. And with that, I carried that with myself. It was never a coach's fault if something bad happened. So, again, thank y'all. Next, I want to start with Coach D. Coach Dameron was my high school coach who believed in me in football when I got my junior year. I played receiver. I only played football once before I got to high school. So when I got to high school, I played receiver, and he said, do you want to win games? And, of course, I did. So he said, I got to move you to quarterback. So I went home. Why do you want me to play quarterback? Of course, their answer was, start preparing. I remember we went to a football camp one time, and I kind of found my way to the wide receiver line. Coach Dameron's looking for me, comes up, what are you doing in this line? You are here to learn quarterback skills. So he gets me out of line, and I had to go to the quarterback drill. So thank you for that. And that eventually led me to get to Georgia Southern to play quarterback. So thank you, Coach Dameron. Other coaches as well, Coach Seawalk. He recruited me to come to Georgia Southern, and like Freddie said, with the rings, everybody remember the rings, they put them out on the table, and you do want one. But come out of high school, I'm going to give myself 5'8", 150 pounds. If I told you that stat right now, you would not offer me a scholarship. So I want to thank him. I know he's not here, but thank Coach Seawalk for taking a chance on me and offering me a scholarship to come to Georgia Southern University, and it's been a dream come true. So thank him. Also, Coach Van Gorder, I know he's not the highlight of the town, but he did. But he did teach us that one thing is to study your playbooks and become a better overall football player, which was, when we see what we didn't really have a playbook, it was more off the hip. But with Coach Van Gorder, he did teach us that, and I would like to thank him. And, of course, Coach Hatcher for moving me back to quarterback and believing in me and trusting in me to get the opportunity to lead a football team again. And once he's done that, I eventually won the Walter Payton Award. But he's seen something in my eyes, and he made a playbook basically for me. We got into the season. He said, I don't know what we're going to run, but we're going to figure it out. We would watch Florida Gators play and West Virginia play. We'd go on the board and imitate it and try to make it work. So I do thank him for moving me back to quarterback. All right. Next, I want to get on track here. Next, I want to go my family and friends. As you can see how many tables we have taken up today. Well, it's a lot of us. But my aunts, uncles, they made sacrifices as well, financially, morally. I do not recall a game in college, a home game, where I didn't have someone come to. It makes a big difference. Like Freddie said, after the game, they're waiting on you to eat, and what's taking so long. But I do thank y'all. My Uncle Russell sitting back. I'm going to bring up a quick story. He called me one day. He used to drive trucks. He was on Highway 16. Said, hey, you want to meet me? I'll get you something to eat. So we rode out to the end of the exit and met him in his 18-wheeler. But that's the type of love my family showed me throughout the whole process, and I do greatly appreciate that. Also, my friends, a lot of them not here, but in college, I was in class. It's a small story how often they came down. I was in class one day, and I got a text. It said, I'm here. Well, okay, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I was like, well, I can't get out of class to come let you in. Well, we're already in your room. Well, I said, well, I didn't put you on a ticket list. I already got tickets. So they have been down so much, they didn't come with tickets, and somehow they got in the room, but they were here every weekend, and I do want to thank them for that as well. I'm going to close out here by saying the GSU family, community, and all my teammates. we had two memorable games for me. One at home game when we beat Furman when they were #1, and just having the student body rush the field after the game, a night game. It's nothing like being an Eagle on a Saturday night after a big win. We know Coach told us that one. But that was such an amazing experience with the love and the passion they showed for the football community here. Also, our win at App State. I believe when we went up there, we had just as many fans as they did. And I know it's not easy to travel, especially in a college budget, but all these people seem to make it to the games and cheer us on every single day, and I definitely want to thank them. As far as teammates, we have extended teammates. I actually got coached by Coach Williams. He's a Hall of Famer, so thank you. I remember Adrian used to come to practice sometimes, and the lure around, he would actually come and talk to you. You kind of see him, you saw the highlight tapes, but he would stop by and talk to us. I got to meet Coach Hill, or Greg Hill. He came to practice. Tracy came to practice. I got to study with Chaz Williams, so I feel very lucky to be in that situation. And all I want to do is imitate what I saw. These guys set the bar very high, and I wanted to live up to what they set. And now, with this induction, I think I've accomplished that, and I feel very proud of that. And this means the most to me, being that I feel as if Georgia Southern is telling me, well done. And I want to thank them for that. So thank you all.
Folks, that concludes today's ceremony. For all the inductees, if you would meet up front for a couple of photos, everybody else, we'll see you at Paulson Stadium. We'll take care of UMass tonight. Thank you all for being here.
Nice to meet you, Billy. Yeah.